So I'm here today with Eleanor Drage. Eleanor, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to have a chat. I think before we get into you specifically, I've got to ask the question: where are we in the world of AI, and what is ChatGPT?
Am I supposed to answer both of those in 10 minutes?
Give me everything in not even 10 minutes, in like 12 seconds.
I don't think that the way that we're thinking about AI ethics in the public forum is the right way at the moment. So there's been this open letter that a lot of people have heard about, where you've got Elon Musk and all these big figures saying that we need to stop building AI. It's going to take us all over and turn us into paperclips and whatnot. And it's funny that they're saying this, because these are the same people that have fired their ethics teams. The Google ethics people, who are amazing, Tamik Gebru and Meg Mitchell, were forced to leave, were fired or had to walk out. Yeah. Microsoft just got rid of one of its departments. So it's really annoying for the ethicists who said, well, we should be building these systems differently. There are other ways of creating AI. AI it's not inevitable that it is the way it is now. I think that the public feels so this is the way that AI was always going to be. There's no other kinds of AI that could have been built, whereas all that means is artificial intelligence. It could be created in many different forms. We could work with different communities and collaborate and create more localized systems that respond to the real needs of people. Like, there's this amazing working group run by Jason Lewis, who's an indigenous thinker in the States, and they look at indigenous ways of thinking about what it means to live in kinship with artificial intelligence and different kinds of computerized systems. And they take inspiration from nature and from the way that indigenous peoples have historically thought about kinship with machines and with other systems. So there's other ways of building. This is not the only way.
So can I ask, do you think as a society it's because we understand that change is inevitable, and so we're fearful of tech overtaking us, so we just demand we're constantly progressing, and the concept of stopping and drawing a breath is so alienating for society that we fear if we do it, we're actually going to end up going backwards?
Well, yes, I think that's the kind of dominant way of thinking about it, totally. And that's been the case since the Enlightenment, right? When you have this idea of progress, and it's been kind of mixed in with intelligence, which is kind of a racialized and gendered idea anyway. There's lots of people who are excluded from the progress narrative of what it means to make society better, what it means to have to progress technologically. And you have people like Nick Bostrom, who's some guy at Oxford, who thinks that what it means to not progress is to not get more intelligent. So he's not really worried about kind of genocides and extinction events other than humanity dying because of AI. And the only problem with that is not kind of death in itself. The problem with that is that would be an end to progress. So progress is almost a religion to a lot of people who work in AI. Right. And it's a very small-minded definition of progress, and it's really dangerous, quite boring, and quite sad.
So why do you think, you referenced the letter, obviously, has there been something that's triggered this, or have people just kind of stopped and taken a look at themselves when you're looking at the likes of Elon Musk, for example?
I think, obviously they have a really good sense of the pace at which things are moving. And the concern is real. I don't want to kind of say that they're wrong in what they're noticing as being really scary. It's just that the way that they go about it. I think if we're really afraid of AI, then we need to be really afraid of the corporations and the investment incentives and the kinds of people that are building these systems and in charge of building these systems. Because I think we're focusing on this kind of amorphous idea of an intelligent machine that's kind of scary and is being developed too quickly. That's what they're implying. Whereas what is actually really scary is the fact that it's like 11 blokes that look very similar, and they're running these massive corporations that are totally, in many domains really unregulated, and no one knows what's going on. The public has no insight. I mean, that's the scary part of it, really.
That's segueing nicely into talking about you. So talk to us about kind of your specialism in terms of feminist ideas to make AI better and safer for everyone. That's kind of the tagline that we certainly use for you when we're talking to clients. Talk to us about what that means.
So I think a lot of people are asking, what do we do? What kind of ideas should we be thinking with? How should we be approaching AI and technology? And are looking for some ways forward. And that's where feminism and anti-racist ideas are really brilliant, because they're really concrete. They're thinking about the things that are happening today. They're affecting real people, whether you're working in marketing or finance, or you're using AI for kind of unsexy things like connecting engineers with network jobs. And those are the kinds of real things that people are using AI for. So we're trying to use feminist ideas about how we should be dealing with data, kind of good ways of good engineering practices, and feeding those through into solutions that real people can use to make their systems more ethical and to instill in their engineers a sense of purpose.
What kind of chicken and egg type is it? But for you, what came first? Was it your interest in AI or your interest in the makeup of progression and kind of where society is?
Yeah, totally. My specialism is in literature at the beginning. So I did French and English literature. I specialized in queer and feminist and anti-racist ideas and philosophy. So I'm sort of a philosopher gone rogue, which is kind of a common theme in AI ethics. And my PhD is in science fiction.
It?
Yeah, so that's a connection.
Is it? And the more you read and the more you kind of thought about it, the more you realise actually you've got to head down this avenue because you need to be talking about subjects that really matter and are going to change how we're acting and what we're doing.
Yeah, totally. AI has always been full of philosophers since its inception. It's just a specific kind of philosophy, and what's happening behind the scenes that no one notices is there's this kind of battle of philosophy of which kinds of thinkers that we should be using when we approach the study of intelligent machines.
That's properly fascinating. Let me ask one last question. Kind of, for us general punters out there, for us kind of laymen or such like that, how should we be keeping abreast of it, and how should we be cutting through the noise, I suppose, to really understand what the discussions that are going on, rather than just the headline comments?
It's really hard. I think that it's very difficult to be able to go to kind of the real information. If you go to as many different sources as possible, that's always useful. I've tried to counter this personally by I do TikTok videos for a journalism group called The Citizens, which is run by Carol Cadwallader, who broke the Cambridge Analytica scandal. So I do these short videos, TikTok videos about that go on Twitter, about the kinds of work I do on hiring technologies. So I specialize in looking at whether recruitment AI systems can actually de-bias recruitment. And why it's not as easy as people think it is. I look at different systems that are used by the police across the world, and I make kind of little bite-sized things that people can look at and read. I'm also working with the exam board in the UK, the OCR, to create materials for teachers and students about GPT and about AI ethics. So those are kind of different channels that I'm working with to try and, help give the public a better idea of what's going on. I really urge people to look at DAIR, DAIR, this amazing organization run by all the people that were fired from Google. And they basically have the best idea, the best opinions about what's going on.
Amazing. And thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure speaking.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.